What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see beside me, we got the John Deere GX345 tractor we picked up last season in Ohio for a spectacular price. It had its fair share of issues, but we're slowly working through all the obstacles with this tractor. Now, as you can see, it has no top hood on it right now, and that's due to the fact that it came cracked. Now, supposedly this is an ongoing issue with many John Deere tractors, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to remove the hood, reinforce the new hood, and reinstall the hood, so it'll give this tractor a better appearance. So let's go ahead and get started. And here's the hood we're working with on the GX345. This is most likely original. It's got a lot of surface scratches on it. As you can see, it's a little bit tough to see here in this light that I've got, but there's a lot of surface scratches here on the top of the hood, so I presume that in the winter months this lawn tractor is probably used as a storage shelf. But the main reason we're replacing this top hood is due to the fact that we've got a crack right here in the hood. Now, these John Deeres are notorious for cracked hoods, as I've been reading up on tractor forums and whatnot. It's probably due to the fact that with all the heat cycles, or maybe John Deere used an inferior plastic mix, I don't know. But when I bought the tractor, basically the crack stopped about right here and it basically curved around here. It wasn't a big deal, but it's starting to spread, as you can see, with this little jagged mark. So I presume that is due to the fact that with all the operational vibrations, it's caused it to crack. But what I've done in order to stop this thing from spreading, I've actually taken some fiberglass and fiberglass cloth and lined up that crack. I had some extra resin when I was doing the hood, so I figured, you know, why not? Let's just stop this thing from spreading before I can get this hood replaced. I actually kind of ran out of resin towards the top here, but most of the crack is around this region. So I've got that reinforced with some fiberglass cloth. Okay, today we're only going to be replacing the top part of the hood. Fortunately, the sides of the hood are in great condition. There's no cracks on there. A lot of situations I've been reading about is both the top hood and the sides hood have been cracked up, but fortunately I've been only blessed with only top damage, so that saves me some money right here. So first things first, on removing this hood, is we're going to go ahead and open this thing up. Now, there is a way to remove this entire hood assembly. You have to disconnect the headlights, and I believe there's some type of clip system here on the hinges. And we're not going to go ahead and do that since we're only doing the top hood. So in order to remove this top hood portion, you're going to take your 10mm wrench, and you're going to remove this bolt, you're going to remove this bolt, and there's a bolt right there, and another 10mm bolt right there. So I'd recommend removing the bottom ones first and then going to the top last. That way, when you're almost done, this hood doesn't go flying all the way down to the ground and breaking it if you plan on keeping this for whatever reason. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this hood, and hopefully we got some great success. Tools required: 3/8 ratchet with a 3-inch extension, swivel adapter, and a 10mm shorty. Or I can use a 10mm ratcheting wrench. Choice is up to you with whatever you feel comfortable with. So let's go ahead and show you how to remove this hood. And the removal process is relatively painless. Only 4 10mm bolts were holding it in place. Now, upon removal, this little heat shield or deflector, whatever you want to call it, was kind of in the way, so I had to bend the hood a little bit in order to go around this little diffuser type piece. So just keep that in mind upon the removal process. And also probably the new hood, we'll have to bend it a little bit in order to get it over this little piece. Now the top hood is removed. We can see all the dirt that is accumulated over the years, especially down here towards the front part. Now, those of us with OCD cleanliness will understand, but just go ahead and take a wet paper towel and just gonna wipe this area clean, and that'll give us a fresh slate to reinstall the new hood on top of. So we'll go ahead and get this area cleaned up. Got a brand new John Deere OEM GX345 top hood piece. Current one that is on the tractor has a nice little crack in it. So this is a brand new unit. However, there is a engineering flaw on these that they easily crack. So it was recommended online on the tractor forums to go ahead and reinforce this. So the deal is, we're going to take this fiberglass kit here, mixing cups and the resin and hardener and fiberglass mat, and obviously the disposable paintbrushes and latex gloves, and hopefully we can get about 2 or 3 coats on this, but obviously not on the top of it. So on the underside, we're going to try to do about 2 to 3 coats of fiberglass mat with resin on the underside. No one will ever see it, being that the hood is closed, but that will actually reinforce this plastic and give it some strength, because these hoods are not exactly cheap. First things first, we're going to take this 180 grit sandpaper piece, and we're just going to basically scuff up the underside of this hood in order for that fiberglass resin to fully adhere to the underside of the smooth plastic as it is right now. So that'll actually make the fiberglass system stick a lot better than going directly on the smooth plastic. So let's go ahead and get this thing scuffed up. Okay, so the underside of this hood has approximately 2 layers of resin fiberglass applied to the underside of this. I didn't tell you how exactly I did this, so I'm gonna go ahead and explain the best I can of how I did this fiberglass. I learned years ago teaching myself making a subwoofer enclosure for my Acura RSX for a 10-inch woofer. It turned out phenomenal, so I'll go ahead and show you that later on. But anyhow, this is fiberglass resin with fiberglass mat. This is a very strong material to make different shapes and reinforce for strength. Corvette bodies are made of this material, so let me go ahead and show you how I did this. Okay, so here's all our materials I needed, minus my rubber gloves. So you've got the fiberglass resin, you've got mixing cups, you've got the hardener, you've got some inexpensive chip brushes here, and the fiberglass mat. So what I like to do first is take your fiberglass mat with some scissors, cut it up in pieces, and then make the form of what you want fiberglassed. That way you're not racing for time, because you've only got about 8 to 12 minutes of working time with the fiberglass resin once it's all mixed up. So once you've got your mat in place, now you can go ahead and mix up your resin. So you take your resin can right here and you pour out how many ounces you want. So I don't know, I did about 3 to 6 ounces per stage here. And then what you want to do is you take your hardener. So for every ounce you have, you take 10 drops and you drop it into the mixture. And you make sure you take your chip brush and you mix it up as best you can, grab the sides and everything, because the last thing you want is resin that does not cure. So it is important to make that ratio perfect. And like I said before, you've only got 8 to 12 minutes to work. So once you've got the mixture mixed up, get that close to your work, and obviously take the wrapper off your chip brush and like to dip this in. And once you've got some fiberglass resin mix on your brush, I like to go ahead and dab the fiberglass mat, and that will basically absorb all the mixture and it will make a nice uniform finish. As you can see, there's a few spots here I went a little bit heavy on, like right here, I'm a little bit heavy on right there. I was just kind of burn off some of the extra resin I've had, but you kind of want to have a consistency like this, nice and smooth. Doesn't need to be too heavy. So basically you just kind of dab this as quick as you can, and you want to work pretty quick. You don't want to take your time on this too much, because like I said, you've only got 8 to 12 minutes. And then once this thing is on its end of its lifespan, you'll start to feel the can heat up a little bit. Just leave your chip brush in there. It'll harden up and you'll have a little chip brush sculpture. So once this is all hardened up, you can basically just pull this thing out and you'll have the shape of the underside of the can. And most times you'll be able to reuse these little cans right here, which are only about $1 anyways, but it's just kind of fun to pull out your sculpture to see what it forms right there. But that's basically all there is to it with fiberglass work. A lot of people don't know how to do it, but it's relatively simple. It's just mixing up the ratio and applying it over the fiberglass mat with an inexpensive brush, and it is a very strong material. So, okay, this is my first work of art with using fiberglass. I did this about 10 years ago. So as you can see, this is for a 10-inch subwoofer. Now, the first step I had to do is basically make the back base of it. So you do the sides, a little bit of the bottom, and then this back side right here. And then once that's done, you cut the size and what the base is gonna look like and trim the sides. And then you take dowel rods and you just basically hot glue the dowel rods with your MDF ring right here that will hold the speaker. And then you stretch this over with fleece. So once you have the fleece all stretched over, it'll basically make the shape of this subwoofer enclosure. And then basically you just layer on top of that with the fiberglass resin and mat. So it's basically how these speaker enclosures are made and have these nice shapes that just basically protrude out. And you basically cannot achieve this using just regular plywood pieces, because this utilizes every single square inch of the back corner of the trunk. So you've got a lot more storage space, to haul stuff and whatnot. So I was very happy with how this turned out. I can't remember, I've got about 7 or 8 layers of fiberglass on this, but it's held up very well. This thing is very solid, so it sounds great. So if you guys have, itch for some car audio, I highly encourage you to make a fiberglass box. It's not too tough. Okay, the outside of the hood's now all cleaned up with some wet paper towels and whatnot. So now we can go ahead and bolt the new hood top into position using our 4 10mm bolts. So let's go ahead and install the new hood. So you're probably thinking we're all done with this hood installation, aren't you? Well, that is not the case. We are missing one major component, and that would be the large John Deere decal on the side of this hood, because we want all the neighbors to know we're cutting the lawn with a John Deere top line mower, the Cadillac of mowers, and not some Troy-Bilt or Husqvarna stuff. So this is what we're gonna install. Got some brand new OEM decals from John Deere. Obviously there's a left side and a right side, and here's the part numbers you'll need. This is an M145995 and M145994. Now what you want to do is you take your old hood and use the bottom for references and use the back for references. I came up with 2.5 from here and 9/16 from the bottom to this edge right here, and put a few pieces of tape in position. So once you've got a little bit on the back side applied and you've got this level basically, you really don't need a front measurement, because that front nose right there is going to give you some complications. So basically use the back side for measurement and the underside as well. So 9/16. Okay, now the hood installation is finally done. The Deere decals are in position. It was a little bit tough at first, but I just ripped off this little backing right here, stuck it on here, and then made sure I was in line with the small pieces of tape on the bottom. And then just as I was holding it away, just take your squeegee and just push it onto the hood itself, and then make sure there's no air bubbles, obviously. So turned out great. Very happy, and this hood should last a very long time, especially with the fiberglass reinforcing. Fiberglass took, a few hours to do, but it's just peace of mind for, these expensive hoods. And if you take care of these tractors, they'll take care of you. So that's basically my principle here. Now, what to do with this old hood? What we're gonna basically do is list this on Marketplace for, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks or something like that. And I'm sure there's someone out there that needs a hood for their tractor. Okay, well, I don't know if you guys remember the old seat that was replaced. It had a big chunk missing out of the top of it. But anyhow, I went ahead and listed it on Marketplace for about $30, and some lady offered me $10 for it, and of course I took it. So, there's 2 lunches right there. So instead of me taking that to the dump and having that occupy landfill space, so you just never know what people need for their tractors or cars or whatever it is. So go ahead and try and sell those parts, because you just never know. Okay guys, this concludes the installation of the new top hood for project GX345. We're able to remove the old cracked top hood, reinforce the new hood with fiberglass, install new graphics. Now I believe all the exterior aesthetics are complete on this tractor, including new front plastics, the new front steel bumper, new seat, new rear tires, and now the new top hood. Hope you guys can follow along as we continue to revive this GX345. Even though this tractor was recently serviced at John Deere, we're going to go ahead and replace the fluids with synthetic oils. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.